Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off this lesson by giving all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekakadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone rule well, and of timing this word in truth and sincerity. All right, and peace and mercy to the whole full elect, starting with the 144,000. That's also pushing this word in truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. All right, this is your brother Amath from GMS Toronto. Okay, coming at you with another live lesson. Lord willing, this is straightforward, or another lesson rather. I'm not live right now, but Lord willing, this lesson is straightforward and edifying to the whole full elect of the nation of Israel. So, I'm going to title this lesson, it's going to be another news and prophecy. All right, Lord willing, this is quick and again straightforward to the point. But I'm going to entitle this lesson, Don't Sleep on Canada. All right, do not sleep on Canada. And the reason why I'm saying this is because Canada is like a silent snake. Okay, if America is the snake that makes all the noise, Canada it's also a snake, but very, very silent and subtle. All right, with all the commotion, all right, and events taking place in America, then you got Europe. All right, you see what's going on over there in Europe with digital ID, as well as in the Middle East, you got war. And then, even with China, you look at China, China is completely, I think the term is called a police state, all right, where it's completely surveilled, all right, or surveillance. Okay, it's very extreme over there. On the internet, on the if you jaywalk, your face gets plastered throughout the city. So China is already where they want to bring the top wicked elite, where they want to bring America and the rest of the world. All right, it's like a model for where they want to bring the world in terms of the New World Order via the MOTB. But over here in Canada, while all that's happening, they're quietly trying to push some laws and some policies pass to basically bring about, which is the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shah, is the spirit of prophecy, to bring about famine of the word, all right, and also persecution upon the hopeful elect primarily, really, but Israel, all right, bring persecution over on Israel, especially those of us that know that we're Israelites. Okay, so I got this clip here from Redacted. Okay, and as the title here, it says, Canada has gone totally insane. All right, so this is fair use. All right, I'm not using this video to make any money from this video. I'm just sharing this video for educational purposes only. All right, so fair use. Let me actually slow down the speed.
Get ready to be a full-on police. Well, Canada, get ready to be a full-on police state, 1984 style. If Parliament passes a few bills, we're gonna alert you to.
Yeah, so the term is police state. Matter of fact, what is a police state? Just going on to chat real quick. A police state, it says a police state is a government system where the authorities use surveillance, intimidation, and force to control nearly every aspect of citizens' lives. All right, so yeah, that's a police state. That's China right now. Okay, that's what they want to do with America completely, and that's what they're getting ready to do over there in Europe. And this is getting ready to be done throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, the Lord said that the hour of temptation, all right, is coming to try the whole world. All right, so don't think, oh, well, it's happening in America, it's happening in this place and that place, I can go fly to this place and I'll be okay. That's not how it works. You can't run from the Most High. Okay, so let me read a little bit more here. It says, in a police state, law enforcement and intelligence agencies have extreme power. Privacy disappears. Citizens are constantly watched, tracked, or monitored. Free speech or protest are punished, right? So that's famine of the word. Because when we go out there and prophesy, it's likened to a protest, okay? It's likened to a protest. We're not marching on the streets, right? Like these other Israelite camps like to do, in particular IUIC. But we're simply stationing ourselves on the streets and reading the Bible and prophesying. Okay, so it's a type of protest. It says here, privacy disappears. Citizens are constantly watched, tracked, or monitored. Free speech and protests are punished. Laws are used as weapons to silence political opposition or dissent. Okay, which that word what's that word mean again? So dissent, real quick, it means the holding or expression of opinions at variance with those commonly or officially held. Yeah, okay. So going against the grain, going against the narrative that Esau, Edom, the top wicked elites have established, which is exactly what the prophets are doing, right? Prophesying and reading the Bible. It says, laws are used as weapons to silence political opposition or dissent. The government rules by fear, not by consent. You'll often see a police state rise when leaders claim it's for national security. You see? And you hear that term a lot, national security. All right? It says public order so a couple terms. National security, public order, or safety. But the real purpose is to keep power by crushing resistance. Classic examples: Nazi Germany under Hitler, the Soviet Union under Stalin, more recently, North Korea, a full-blown modern police state. Now I'm going to ask, is China a police state? Then I'll get back to the clip, but just want to get this. Yeah, it says, yes, by most definitions, China functions as a modern police state, especially under the rule of the Chinese Communist Party, CCP. Okay, and here's why. Mass surveillance, censorship and control of speech, social credit system. See, all these aspects of a police state, or all these things are different aspects of a police state. So when you hear that a police state is coming to your country, this is what you can expect, okay? Mass surveillance, censorship and control of speech, social credit system, repression of minorities, okay? No real political opposition, right? And when you read number 4, repression of minorities, that's you Jakes, all right? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, okay? And Esau will do the same thing to his own people. They don't give a shit, okay? So it says, number 5, I think I read this already, but no real political opposition, right? So it says, so yes, China is a technologically advanced police state, enforcing obedience through surveillance, propaganda, and fear rather than consent or liberty. All right? So that's what a police state is, okay? So let's go back to this video and listen carefully.
Will Canada
And then we'll get some precepts.
Will Canada get ready to be a full-on police state, 1984 style, if Parliament passes a few bills we're going to alert you to? The Justice Center for Constitutional Freedom is warning specifically about Bills C2, C8, and C9. I'm going to summarize them together, and then we'll break them down. If they are passed, they would allow the government to open your mail, criminalize the use of cash, allow for warrantless search, prosecute Canadians for opinions, kick you off the internet, have full access to your social media data by allowing social media companies to basically become an arm of the government, allow your neighbor to report you for possible hate crimes so that the government literally can put you on house arrest for the potential, that's like Minority Report, for the potential to do a hate crime if they just don't like the way you use the internet or your opinions. Joining us to discuss is John Carpe. He's the president of the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedom. He's also the author of Corrupted by Fear, How the Charter Was Betrayed and What Canadians Can Do About It. So thank you for joining us. Can you sort of give us an overarching warning about these, and then we'll talk about it little by little? There was someone in the chat saying, I'm from Canada and you're wrong. They didn't say how. So tell us what's the fact.
Well, we're not as bad as the United Kingdom, where, as you know, there were over 12,000 arrests.
And you know what I've realized living out here in Canada for as long as I have? It's the American people are ignorant, proud, you know? And that's the main thing. They're proud, very, very proud. But Canadian people, man, they're very, very docile. Very, very docile. You know, because Canada is that peace-loving country, so to speak, right? That's the aura that we put out here in Canada, that you could be anybody and everybody come over here, and, you know, people are nicer here, more polite, whatnot. But people are extremely docile and in their own world over here. You know, really in their own world. They have no idea what's going on, don't care to know what's going on. And, you know, obviously that's all over the place, you know, but like I said, man, don't sleep on Canada. Canada is just as bad, but it's just very silent about it.
Of people for what they said on social media, making comments against immigration policy. We're not there yet, but we are poised to take that leap. If all of this legislation gets through, so the bills C2, C8, C9, they're all in second reading before the House of Commons, and the House of Commons is sitting for quite a few more weeks before Christmas, so there's ample opportunity. The Liberal...
And, you know, you see that it's looking like, all right, the top week of the year, trying to get all this pushed through before 2026 January, right? January 2026. So we got what, November coming up, and then we got December. 2 more months. So a lot is gonna happen in these next months, in the next 2 months, man. Over in America, obviously you got the SNAP benefits are canceled through the government shutdown. So it's gonna get, you know, turned up and violent in America in November, but also here in Canada, man, as we're getting into these different bills that they want to pass. Okay, it's also going to get severe here too. All right.
Government of Marks Carney, as I call him. It's actually Mark Carney, but I say Marks Carney. They have a minority. So, however, it's not that hard, depending on which bill. If they get the support from one of the opposition parties, they can still push things through. So the things that you mentioned are accurate. If all 3 bills pass in their current form, it will be illegal to use cash in amounts 10,000 or more. Canada Post will have the authority to open letter mail without a warrant. The government will be able to order to kick individual Canadians off the internet by ordering a telecommunications service provider. So some company that provides your internet or provides your phone, they can order that company to kick an individual off phone and off internet. And also, there's going to be a lot more prosecutions for hate speech, even though they can't really define hate because it's an emotion and it's subjective. But if these 3 bills pass, we're going to be close to a police state. We'll certainly be at the mercy of the government in terms of how bad they want to make it for us.
So what is the justification that they would...
And they're going to make it very bad, all right? They're going to make it extremely bad because they want chaos and havoc throughout the 4 corners of the earth, all right? You need chaos, all right, disorder, all right, to bring in order. And that's the favorite slogan of the top wicked elite is order or order out of chaos, right?
Use in this Combating Hate Act. No, it's the Cybersecurity Act that would allow them to kick you off the internet. So they're saying, because we can't allow hateful people the internet. So by their logic, if I'm a hateful person, I just need to, like my mom used to say, sit in the corner and think about it. That's what they want to happen.
The pretext is always safety and security. You know, politicians never take away your rights and freedoms without offering a nice sounding pretext. And so the Canadian government's very good at messaging, well, we want to protect you from hate. We want to protect you from hate speech.
Yep.
We want to protect you from misinformation, from disinformation. So therefore, you've got to give up your freedom of expression and you have to let us regulate and control.
And years ago, I remember Klaus Schwab saying that there was going to be an infodemic, that we would come into an infodemic, right? So yeah, there's that, right? Where basically an infodemic is what? I'm pretty sure, let me ask Chat, but I'm pretty sure it's just where there's too much wrong information. What is infodemic? All right, so an infodemic is what happens when there's too much information, especially false or misleading information, spreading faster than the truth can keep up. And they declare, all right, the teachings primarily, all right, starting with this doctrine, which is the doctrine of Yahweh Yahweh Shai, all right, which is the 100% truth concerning the Bible and the prophecies in the Bible. They declare the words of the Most High as hate, okay, as misinformation, all right? And then also all the information that's coming out on the government and the top wicked elite and all their wickedness, that the Lord is exposing this devil. Basically, the Lord is exposing this devil, making America bare and naked, and the Edomites that run it and run the rest of the world. So guess what? They coined, all right, they coined that infodemic. There's too much information running around. All right, I think it was Jacob Rockefeller that said that we should have never created the internet or invented the internet, right? So it says, think of it as an epidemic of misinformation. It usually happens during a crisis like a pandemic, war, or political upheaval. People panic, everyone starts sharing things online, and suddenly the air is thick with rumors, half-truths, and lies dressed up as facts. And that's true. That's true. And that's why the scriptures talk about great darkness over the people, which leads that means a couple things. That means evil, right? The bad times that we're about to get into. So bad times are going to cover people, but also confusion. People are confused as to what to do, why things are happening, who's doing it, right? How do I protect myself? And basically, how do I get saved? Because it's going to get to a point where everyone will know that this is the Most High who's bringing all these judgments and this chaos and this evil. And guess what's going to be desired the most at that moment in time? The truth, the prophets who have the truth. Okay, so before we get into the climax of Jacob's trouble, the Lord's going to take his prophets off the internet and off the streets. And brothers and sisters, we're going to see this thing speed up immensely. All right, so let's go back to this clip.
The internet. We already have a bill that was passed 2 years ago that empowers the Canadian Radio Telecommunications Commission, which is a federal national regulatory body, to monitor websites and podcasts for Canadian content. They haven't yet taken actions to start defining it and imposing it, but it's there on the books. And so the pretext is to keep you safe, protect you. And so therefore, we're going to ban hate speech by empowering police and prosecutors to lock up people who say things that police and prosecutors feel might be hateful.
Now, C2 you warn about is called the Strong Borders Act, but it would allow them to open your mail, criminalize the use of cash, and warrantless searches.
And criminalize the use of cash, right? That's going into the MOTB. All right, so let's get a couple precepts here. Let me get 3 precepts. So let's go to Amos, first one, which we get this out all the time when it comes to famine of the word. So Amos 8 and 10, all right? A lot of the scriptures that we bring out now are going to be scriptures that you've heard before over and over and over again. And that's because the prophecy is speaking, man. These are the times that we're in, all right? So we don't care about how you feel about hearing the scriptures over and over again if you scoff at it, all right? Anyways, Amos 8 and 10. And this is the NLT, I will turn your celebrations into times of mourning and your singing into weeping. You will wear funeral clothes and shave your heads to show your sorrow, as if your only son had died. How very bitter that day will be. Okay, so that's the time we're coming into. It says that time, verse 11, that time is surely coming, says the sovereign Lord Yahweh, when I will send a famine. The time is surely coming, says the sovereign Lord Yahweh, when I will send a famine on the land. Not a famine of bread or water, but of hearing the words of the Lord Yahweh. And there will be a famine of bread and water. But what the Lord is emphasizing, all right, in this particular chapter and verse is the famine of hearing his word. All right. So no more prophets out there on the highways and byways, and no more lessons and teachings and prophesying on the internet. All right. People will stagger from sea to sea and wander from border to border, searching for the word of the Lord Yahweh, but they will not find it. And why? Like I said earlier, it's because of all the evils and events, all right, that will be taking place when the prophets are not prophesying or teaching. All those events are going to be the very thing that the prophet said that would happen. All the very things that the prophets of Yahweh Bashim Ashai said that would happen will happen. And when they do, people are going to be, especially Jake, it's really going to be Jake running around looking for the prophets. Okay? But it'll be too late. It'll be too late. It says, beautiful girls and young men will grow faint in that day, thirsting for the word, for the Lord's, Yahweh's word. Okay? So let's go from here and let's go to 2nd Esdras. 2nd Esdras 4, or no. Yeah, 2nd Esdras chapter 5, verse 9, and it reads, and salt waters, all right, yeah, I'll start at 8. It says, there shall be a confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be oft sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places. So wild animals you're gonna find them more readily in the city. Okay, and it says, and menstruous women will bring forth monsters, and salt waters shall be found in the sweet. So polluted waters, right? There's gonna be a lot of pollution after the missiles hit. Right? After the missiles hit, the air, the water, the food, everything that's left will be polluted, right? Contaminated, right? And you'll have that even before the missiles, because the Lord said he's going to bring a lot of plagues and pestilence, right? And pestilence goes into diseases and illness, right? Which is, Esau coins that as biowarfare. Just like the C19, that was a type of pestilence and biowarfare, okay? So it says, and the salt water will be found in the sweet, and all friends shall destroy one another. Then shall wit, right, going to wisdom, the truth, the prophets, then shall wit hide itself, and understanding withdraw itself into his secret chamber. Okay, and that's twofold, okay, because spiritually the secret chamber goes into your head, your mind, your pineal gland. I'm pretty sure when you go look up the word pineal, you'll find the word chambers. Okay, chambers. So the secret chambers, first and foremost, is your mind. This is why in this grace period, you have to develop a relationship with Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Bashim Shai, a personal relationship with Yahweh Bashim Shai, so that this truth will be sealed in your mind. Okay, because if this truth is not sealed in your mind, when all hell breaks loose, you're going to fold. You're not going to know how to use the word. You're not going to know how to apply wisdom. All right, you're going to buckle and you're going to become carnal, and you're going to haste, which is going to get you destroyed. All right, but the hopeful elect, because they've been establishing and developing their relationship with the Heavenly Father through his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, they're going to find mercy, and wisdom is going to meet them at all their thoughts in this time of destruction, in a time of chaos and violence and evil. You see? And then the second fold of the secret chambers goes into the chariots. All right? The chariots is also the secret chambers where the elect will get beamed up. So verse 10, it says, and shall be sought of many, right? So wit shall hide itself. It says wit shall hide itself, and understanding withdraw itself into his secret chambers, and be sought of many, and yet not be found. Then shall unrighteousness and incontinency, which is the lack of self-control, be multiplied on the earth. One land, talking about the person, because we know places are people before it's a place. So one land also shall ask another, and say, is righteousness that maketh a man righteous gone through thee? And it shall say, no. At the same time shall men hope, but nothing obtained. They shall labor, but their ways shall not prosper. Okay, so people are going to be looking for this truth, man, and everything they try won't work. It won't work for them. Okay. Let me get this here as well in Micah. Like I said, I didn't want to make this too long. Micah 3 and 5. Get this in the NLT, and it reads, "This is what the Lord Yahweh says. You false prophets are leading my people astray. You promise peace for those who give you food," right? Tithes, money. "But you declare war on those who refuse to feed you." Okay? So in the King James it says, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh concerning the prophets that make my people err, that bite with their teeth and cry peace, and cry peace, and he that putteth not into their mouth, they even prepare war against him." All right, so we're gonna find that a lot of our people, which we've already known this. All right, those of us that have been in this truth long enough, a lot of you brothers that are just coming in recently, you've heard that. Don't be surprised when your own family members, your own fellow Israelites, loved ones, friends, whoever, turn on you. Okay, a lot of Israelites a lot of Jake that know they're Israelites, even some that are among GMS and among all these other camps, they're going to betray one another because of the evil time. All right, the time is going to be so evil, all right, and so chaotic, and people are going to be so helpless that it's going to cause them to turn on one another. Okay, and then we're going to really see who truly believes in Yahweh B'Shem El Shai. We're all going to be tested, man. But all right, we're all going to be tested, but it's necessary for the kingdom of heaven and to be accepted into the kingdom of heaven. So verse 6, it says, "Now the night will close now," and these false prophets, okay, that's exactly what they are, right? They're misleading our people, telling them that no Jacob's trouble is coming. They keep saying that peace and safety, peace and safety, peace and safety. All right. So this is what's going to happen to them because since they prophesy falsely concerning what's coming down the pipe. "Now the night will close around you, cutting off all your visions. Darkness will cover you, putting an end to your predictions." Right? Because everything you predicted won't come to pass. But everything that the prophets of Yahweh B'Shem El Shai predicted will come to pass. Okay? So because you prophesied falsely, darkness, which is confusion, and evil will befall you and they that followed and believe on you, that are not of the hopeful elect. Okay? That are not of the hopeful elect. It says, "The sun will set for you prophets, and your day will come to an end." So the sun representing your knowledge. So everything you thought you knew while things are doing okay, all right, it's going to go right out the window when all hell breaks loose. Because you're going to find out that you didn't know shit. You didn't know a damn thing. Okay? And you're going to find yourself destitute and without. And you're going to take the MOTB. If you're not already dead, you're going to take the MOTB. All right? "Then you seers will be put to shame, and your fortune tellers will be disgraced, and you will cover your faces because there is no answer from Yahweh B'Shem El Shai." Verse 8, "But as for me, I am filled with power, with the spirit of the Lord, Yahweh B'Shem El Shai. I am filled with justice and strength to boldly declare Israel's sins and rebellion." And that's what we're doing, man. All right? And we're going to keep doing it until the Lord tells us to stop. All right? So let's see if there's more on this clip. I don't think there is.
What is the justification about the border? How can opening your mail secure the border?
Well, it can't. This piece of legislation, it's 140 pages long, and there is a small chunk of it is actually about border security, and it changes immigration policies. It changes some of the policies that apply to refugee claimants and how quickly they need to apply for refugee status after coming into Canada, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a small portion of this Strong Borders Act which is actually on point. It's actually pertains to our borders and our refugee policies. But then they add on all kinds of stuff like the Authorized Access to Information Act, which would be a new piece of legislation that would give government officials the authority to do warrantless searches of the computers and cell phones of Canadians. Has nothing to do with the borders, but they just want to, sneak it by, slip it through.
Oh, it makes sense. So they're using the whole border situation to be able to go into your phone and see what you're doing, go into your social media apps and see what you're saying, so on and so forth, right?
Under this big
So this
140-page piece of
so-called border
legislation.
issue is just a guise, all right? It's just a guise.
Now, you also say possibly they could bring back the Online Harms Act. And again, you can't legislate a feeling in a free country. I can feel as vile as I...
Well, that's the thing. You people are not free. You're fooled. That's what you are. It's not a land of the free. America is not the land of the free. It's the land of the Freemasons. All right? Those are who the ones are free. All right? The top ruling class. All right? But it's not the land of the free. It's the land of the fools. Canada, too. You people think you're free, but you're not free. You're fools. And you're going to find out that you were never free to begin with. You were just being manipulated and controlled and ultimately enchanted. Okay? You're being enchanted.
want. If I'm truly living in a free country, that's my right. But the Online Harms Act would allow prosecution for offensive speech. And the idea that you talked about preemptively punishing your neighbor. So what is the mechanism to tell on your neighbor?
So this Online Harms Act was on track to get passed into law prior to the election that we had in April 2025. With the election, it died on the order paper, so to speak. It didn't go through because it hadn't been passed yet before the election was called. If they bring this back, one of the provisions in the Online Harms Act is that if a neighbor fears that you are going to commit a hate speech crime in the future, they can apply to court, and potentially, if the judge believes your neighbor that you might get into hate speech, you could be placed under house arrest and ordered to wear an ankle bracelet and be subjected to a curfew, et cetera, without having been charged with a crime, without having been convicted. So it's like Minority Report. This is actually in the bill that died before the last election. Some Liberals have talked about bringing this bill back. It also has provisions to empower the Canadian Human Rights Commission to prosecute Canadians for non-criminal offensive speech. And it gives power to the federal cabinet to create all kinds of rules governing the internet.
And he said if they bring it back, they're going to bring it back. See, the thing is, we could tell you that these things will happen. Why? Because it's prophecy. It doesn't matter how it looks in terms of what Esau is doing. You know, they're scrambling. They're saying, well, we might do this. We might not do that. They go ahead and they pull back. It doesn't matter. This is what the Lord Yahweh, the Heavenly Father Yahweh, said will happen, and it's going to happen. So we know that this is going to come down, okay? And you look at the events, man, it's looking like sooner than later, real soon.
And a new digital safety commission to enforce those new rules. It's horrific. If that one gets brought back, again, it's not before the House right now, but if that is brought back, and if it's passed along with Bills C2, C8, and C9, if those four things go through, it's going to be absolute tyranny up here, as opposed to only partial tyranny as it is presently.
And so
Yep.
what can Canadians do about it? Because why is there not a collective screaming? I mean, what's hilarious is that the No Kings rally extended into Canada. So they're upset about Trump when it has nothing to do with them, but they're not upset about this real, what could be kingly power.
Well, first of all, there are a lot of Canadians have woken up since.
Yeah, well, it's because, like I said earlier, Canadians are docile, man. They're very, very, it's like asleep. They're very, very, like literally sleepwalking, man. Very, very docile. But anyhow, that's all I want to get from this clip. Let me play this, get my last precept, and that'll be it. But I want to highlight what he has said about your neighbors, right? Your neighbors, they think that you're going to, in the future, right? Not even if they catch you in the act, but in the future, if your neighbor thinks that you're going to say something that's hate speech, guess what? They can report you to the authorities and bring you to the court. And if the judge believes that that's what you were going to do, you're put under house arrest or in cuffs and into a jail cell. All right. And at that time, it's going to be concentration camps and prison camps, man. So this is why we're going to get this here. This is why people are going to betray one another, man. Okay. There's another clip I saw, I remember, about what a social credit system would look like. And if you have a bad score, you can raise your score by basically snitching on your neighbor if you see them doing something wicked, or what Esau deems wicked, I guess, or unlawful. According to Esau, you can report them and then your points will go up. So that's like getting a higher credit, right? Everybody wants credit, good credit, right? Because when you have good credit, you get whatever you want from Esau. So if you have shitty credit, but you see someone doing, let's see, littering, and you report it, and your credit can go up 50 points. So how many people won't do that? They're all going to do that because they're going to be hungry, destitute, and they're going to want their so-called old life back. All right? Anyway, so going into, this is my last precept here. Luke 21:11 in the NLT. I'm going to read down to 20. It says, there will be great earthquakes, and there will be famines and plagues in many lands, and there will be terrifying things and great miraculous signs from heaven. Yep. But before all this occurs, there will be a time of great persecution. You will be dragged into synagogues. So before we get into, these earthquakes, and we've been having earthquakes, but, before basically the earthquakes of the missiles, because that's what will happen. Those missiles, when they get shot, they will create earthquakes as well. But the Lord is going to ramp it up in terms of these so-called natural disasters, okay? But anyhow, before we get to all that and the great miraculous signs in heaven, it says, but before all this occurs, there will be a time of great persecution. You will be dragged into synagogues and prisons, and you will stand trial before kings and governors because you are my followers. But this will be your opportunity to tell them about me. So don't worry in advance about how to answer the charges against you, for I will give you the right words and such wisdom that none of your opponents will be able to reply or refute you. You see? So, hey man, the Holy Spirit is gonna upgrade, so to speak, in the hopeful elect in that day, man. Starting with the prophets. It says, even those closest to you, your parents, brothers, relatives, and friends will betray you. They will even kill some of you. You see? All right? They'll even kill some of you. All right? The loved one that you once knew, or that dear friend that you once knew, will no longer be the same after a day or two without eating, with escaping death, day in, day out, and then they have children, okay? And if they know that they can get protection, food, shelter, protection, food, and water by ratting you out, best believe that's what they're going to do right away, okay? But it doesn't matter, because nothing will happen to the hopeful elect unless it was sanctioned by the Heavenly Father himself for it to happen. Just like Yahushua said to Pontius Pilate, you cannot do nothing to me unless it was given to you to do so by my Heavenly Father. Okay, so anyways, it says, verse 16 again, even those closest to you, your parents, brothers, relatives, and friends will betray you. They will even kill some of you, and everyone will hate you because you are my followers. But not a hair of your head will perish. By standing firm, you will win your souls. And when you, look at that. But not a hair of our head will perish. By standing firm, you will win your souls. And when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, right, which is a people before us a place, and that's what we're seeing right now. All these ICE agents, the National Guard, all right, Jerusalem, you Israelites are being besieged, and you don't even know it. They're building an entrenchment. They're building an entrenchment around you, besieging you without you even noticing. Like Apostle Gabar he recently has been talking about that experiment with the pigs, right? Wild pigs, which a wild pig is a boar, but the man had food and was feeding the pigs, and as they would slowly come, sniff around, be weary of what he's going to do, they would eventually come and eat. And as they were distracted by eating bread and circus, the man was building a fence, around them, okay? And by the time the whole neighborhood, all right, of pigs came and eat, he had already built a whole ass fence around them, and they were able to go in and come out, but then eventually they weren't able to come in or go out. They were completely trapped in. That's what's happening with you Jakes, but you're all caught up with bread and circus, man. Jake has always been like that, okay? Even Esau is waking up and seeing what's going on. Anyways, it says, and verse 20, and when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then you will know that the time of its destruction has arrived. You see? So Jacob's trouble. All right? So anyways, that's it. Lord willing, this was straightforward and edifying to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. I'm going to close by giving all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and have taught me this word in truth and sincerity. Peace and mercy to the hopeful elect, starting with the 144,000 that's pushing this word in truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. All right, Abba Baal, Kwam Masha'Allah, and Shalom to the hopeful elect.